Hello friends, welcome to another edition of Transformational Astrology. And here in the studio with me this time again is Leslie Benson, who you all know from the Facebook post, the fantastic Facebook posts that she does and the astrology writings that she does.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And we're going to be talking about the Scorpio full moon that's coming up in a few days' time by the 21st, which is quite a powerful one again.
Again. Seems to be the trend.
Yes. So here we go. Don't forget, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll go right to the chart. Well, here we have before us the chart of this full moon coming up on the late evening of April 21st here in West Coast. It would be later, even later still on the East Coast, and in Europe. It would be the next day, actually, the 22nd. And this is the chart produced by the Timepassages software, as if we do it using the natural houses, using the Aries as the first house and the Taurus sign as the second house. And I don't know, what strikes you about this chart looking at it, Leslie?
The thing that really jumps out to me is all of the planets that are at or around 21 degrees. We have Uranus and Venus and Eris, which you are an expert upon. They're in Aries at around 21 degrees. And then over semi-sextile in Taurus, we have Mercury at 21 degrees, which is a bit more prominent right now as he's slowing about to retrograde on the 28th.
And what degree? April. Do you remember?
Ooh.
I think we can right-click and see on the software. 23. Gets to 23, that's right.
Aha. So we'll turn retrograde at 23 degrees?
23 degrees of Taurus.
Okay, good to know. Which will be sextile to Chiron in Pisces.
Right, that's true.
Okay, so that says to me that we're going to have
an interesting retrograde.
An interesting retrograde, yeah.
Where we might look inside ourselves and see what our inner wounding has to tell us, because you know, there's ways to look at inner wounding as difficulties, and there's ways to look at inner wounding as what does it have to tell us? How can we do course corrections based on what comes up from deep inside ourselves?
Yeah, deep opportunities. And also Venus being in there would suggest to me that our relationships are going to have a lot to do with that course of discovery for this retrograde.
Very good.
What, our partners or family members or people that were close to us are reflecting to us about the pieces of ourselves that we haven't yet reclaimed in our healing process.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's a powerful time for all kinds of depth work. We can see that in the Eris, which goes to depth. Even Uranus gives us intuitional understanding of our depths more so than we would have without that impulse to dive deep within ourselves, to look within and see what comes up, to kind of jump the tracks of our ordinary reality and see what comes up as a result of doing that. That's Uranus.
And and that also reminds me, Uranus kind of has the genius quality to it, and each of our unique gifts. And Chiron also, it said that our deepest wounds can transmute and be transformed into our deepest gifts.
Absolutely.
And then with Eris there too, which is a lot about soul purpose. It's a powerful time for...
They all do refer to deepest gifts, and I would not hesitate to add to the mix this amazing retrograde of Mars, because as Mars retrograded, can I show you guys something on the screen here? If we do the right click, we can see the declinational aspects, and you can see that Mars is related to both Mercury and then Saturn and Pluto, like it has been. Mercury's come into that picture. We're talking about a declination of retrograde Mars now at 21.5. It was right up at 21.9, which is where we find Pluto at 20.8. Mars is 21.5. It was at 20.9 is what I was trying to say. And then Saturn is at 20.9, and by George, so is Mercury in this configuration, 20.9. So, I mean, that's a very clear picture of Mercury being our understanding, our conscious understanding, going to the depths represented by Saturn, Pluto in combination, and Mars as well. In retrograde, Mars retrograde, so going inside. So this is all taking us to the inside, a lot of these, right? Would you say?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about why you like to look at the parallels and what that signifies for you?
Sure. I mean, they're known to be very important. The thing about the parallels, they're kind of invisible. I mean, we're used to looking at this map as represented by the chart that you see that we normally display, which is a longitudinal aspects, they're so called, meaning we're seeing the whole 360 degrees of the zodiac here in a circle. And so we can easily see and we can draw a line. And we can see, you know, the sun is exactly opposite the moon in the zodiac, Taurus being exactly opposite to Scorpio. And we do see all of those kind of laid out really clearly by the patterning that they make and the lines that we can draw between them. But we don't see the lines, the invisible lines, between, right now, Pluto and Saturn. But yet when we right-click, that's why I designed this, so that we can right-click and get a glimpse of it, 20.8, 20 degrees 48 minutes of latitude, or not, it's not actually latitude in the sky, it's called declination, which is a different measurement.
Yeah, brilliant.
And then we have here also 20.9, so that tells us that that's there. And then we have the symbol, the P symbol represents that parallel between Pluto and Saturn, which is so close.
Very good. So symbolically and interpretation-wise, would you say, or have you noticed that there is a link to more subtle currents of energy in the parallels because they're lesser known or lesser visible in the zodiac? That maybe they're pointing to, like maybe more deeper currents or unseen.
That isn't current in the astrological understanding. They do have the same. They're kind of a minor conjunction, and when I say minor, they're not that minor. To be close like that, the parallel being so close as a tenth of a degree, within a degree is considered a decent parallel. A tenth of a degree like that is very, very close, and it's it's really on the same nature of a conjunction.
So it has a similar amplifying effect as
exactly.
a conjunction.
It's just like a conjunction in the sky, except this is a conjunction in the declination.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you
yeah, that's what they call it.
Educational for me, and I hope our viewers too.
I'm sure. Yeah. So this is just a really amazing configuration. Even when you look at more and more details of it, like for example, the Neptune opposite the Neptune here, rather opposite the Jupiter. Jupiter standing alone, being very prominent. This gives us a kind of an out, doesn't it? It's like we have a lot of darkness, but we also have a big optimism right now. Yeah. And you can see it, I believe you can see it in the candidacy of Bernie Sanders. I mean, he is, for once in our lives, a spiritual, political candidate. He says he's doing it because he really believes in what he's doing, and he really believes that people need more support, the common people, the people that are not spoken up for, that are not rich, that do not have big corporations to be able to influence the government actions. And you know, he even says when people ask him about his philosophy of life, he says, well, it's very simple. He says, when you hurt, when your children hurt, I hurt. And I think that's a fantastic thing to see in a politician. You know, it's a kind of ray of light to me of hope in this times, these difficult times.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that individually within Bernie Sanders, but what he's eliciting collectively is a culture of compassion, of empathy, of treating our fellow man with awesomeness, like would be great to see everywhere. And
what do they say? Do unto others, right? As you would have others do unto you. Yeah.
Totally, and right. I see that for sure reflected in the Jupiter opposite Neptune there, bringing in just a lot of compassion and sweetness, and also I think that there's Jupiter presents so much opportunity, lots of which can also actually, it's like there's beauty in that, and there's also, there can be a pitfall in that too, where sometimes it's almost hard. There's too many opportunities. Like, what do you choose?
Well, everything has its drawback, and certainly Jupiter is so expansive that you can kind of skate by and say, well, we're not going to look at that. We're not going to look at this practical difficulty or this one. Of course, now Jupiter is exactly square to Saturn. You know, this is the time of the Jupiter-Saturn square, and it's going to Jupiter, that is going to station and go direct after being backwards for a while, and then it'll go back again. And I think it's in May that they have another exact square. So this is another factor, and this is just such a rich time in the astrology. I mean, people are always talking about it right now, how everybody's in the midst of deep change, and also seeing the light. I had a friend say that he felt like it was a time of enlightened darkenment. Seeing how the dark has contributes to the light, that even our sorrows can be our friends, can really be what we need to get through and to see ourselves more whole, and to really come to a better understanding.
That's beautiful.
Deep down. Anything else you want to bring up?
Well, one thing that did strike me when I was looking at the full moon prior to this was actually Black Moon Lilith. She's a point that I like to work with a lot, and I see you don't usually have her pulled up in the charts, but I'm curious, would you want to pull her up right now so we can see where she's at?
Sure, yeah, I'd be glad to. She's in this custom points area there.
Yeah.
So this is 26 degrees, 26.
Yeah, so she's within, a pretty close aspect to that theme that we were touching on in the beginning of...
Well, all these planets here in Aries, especially Eris, is close to an exact opposition.
Exactly. And then Mercury at 21 degrees and Chiron up, Mercury 21 and Chiron up there at 23, and then the nodal axis at 21.
Yes.
And I kind of already touched on it, but I just thought that it was really poignant, and because it's a point that resonates with me and I really like to work with. She symbolizes to me the pieces within ourselves that we haven't yet welcomed back in to the table, and what you were just speaking to of, that, our sorrows can also, they're welcome here, and when we don't push pain away and instead, treat it as an ally and a signpost for something that hasn't been welcomed back for our greatest healing and wholeness. So I just see a lot of opportunity and resource right now for all of that to come to being.
And you'd have to say inspiration as well to me, you'd add to the presence of Black Moon Lilith, which is a fantastic addition to this pantheon of dark energy that we have going on.
She is the dark one. I find the light even there.
Definitely. There's a great line in a singer-songwriter local to Santa Cruz who said at one point in one of his songs, "Darkness so deep that it shines."
Yeah,
that's
right.
Nice, huh?
Oh, that's super sweet.
Yeah. Anyway, being opposite the Uranus and the Eris really brings out this energy. Any planet that would be opposed to these, there's a lot of inspiration contained in going inside, deep intuition, seeing what you can find, seeing how that relates to what only you can provide, and that's what I think Eris is all about. That what you cannot not do, what is your deep soul purpose and deep soul intention and mission. To find out in this lifetime and then to act on. And the acting on will come probably later with all these retrogrades. Mercury about to go retrograde, Mars being retrograde until the end of June.
Yeah.
But it is a powerful, powerful time of getting in better alignment, being ready to make that next leap.
Yeah, and maybe the slowdown can always serve as that pause needed to look within, to gather energies, get supported and resourced, so then when the planets go direct again, there can be a readiness, a preparedness for moving forward full steam ahead.
Always good to prepare before you move forward.
Yeah,
I've heard that. Well, I think that wraps up this portion, and we will go to a little bit of a closing time. Well, that's what we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. And we want to mention resources also in this closing portion. I like to always mention the Pluto resources that we have available to us. There's Jeff Green's book, Pluto, a very famous one. There's another book by Stephen Forrest, also very good about Pluto. Mark Jones has a Pluto book, also very good, where he explores the evolutionary astrology aspects of Pluto in more detail. Donna Cunningham has a terrific book called Healing Pluto Problems, which I recommend. All these are getting back to the darkness. It's not just Pluto. There's a lot of Scorpio, obviously the Scorpio full moon, a lot of the dark side that comes. Uranus, I like to recommend Rick Tarnas's book called Prometheus. I like to recommend Jeff Green, who wrote one called Freedom from the Known, which is great about Uranus. And then the Pluto and Uranus is very well described in Rick Tarnas's Cosmos and Psyche as well. Okay, your turn. What do you think?
I would like to recommend, it's not so much a book about astrology, but a lot of what we work with is Jungian archetypes and Jungian psychology, and there's a very well-known, amazing book called Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Estes, and she's just an amazing storyteller, and she works with archetypes in a really beautiful way, and might be a fun and good resource for those who are on their healing path, who are looking for some good resources.
Oh, that's an excellent choice. You know, Clarissa Pinkola Estes was in the book I wrote, The 10th Planet. She's in chapter 9 because
oh, that's right, she was, huh?
Yeah, well, it turns out that she had a lot of Eris natally that was really powerful with both Saturn and Neptune, and also with Pallas Athena.
Oh,
so
wow.
she's very, the chart revealed, that was another case of I looked at that book and I said, oh my God, this is so about the dark and working with it and bringing it more into practical manifestation. Must be strong Eris, especially with the feminine aspect of it, feminism aspect of it. And sure enough, she has, it's very close T-square between Eris, Neptune, and Saturn that I talk about in the ninth chapter of my book. So let's see.
Sounds appropriate.
Oh, and then, yeah, I think that was what we wanted to say. Oh, but then, of course, my book is called The 10th Planet, Revelations from the Astrological Eris. That's just been very well received.
Actually. It has, and there is interpretations within that if you're curious about your own Eris placement.
That's true.
That's one place where you can find them, and the interpretations for Eris are also in the Timepassages software, available just recently in our 6.0 edition, which is super cool. So if you want to check out and see what your natal Eris placement is like, those are some resources for that.
Yes, the Timepassages software also has great interpretations for transiting positions as well as natal positions of all these planets we've been talking about, the Pluto and the Uranus, and really nice interpretations I've heard. We get great recommendations on that. So it's been fun being with you, and good luck with the full moon. Good luck with your process. We're all here on planet Earth to learn more about ourselves, I believe, to grow in our understanding of the darkness as well as the light within us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for being here. And have a great week. Talk to you soon.
Happy full moon!